Hello everyone, today is 6th of January. My name is Sahil and welcome to the newspaper analysis. Guys, first of all, let's have a look on today's GS folder. So today we will be taking a quote from the Fernando Cardoso, who was the former Brazilian president and is also a prominent social thinker. He says, democracy is not just a question of having a vote. It consists of strengthening each citizen's possibility and capacity to participate in the deliberations involved in life in society. Now, guys, when we talk about the idea of democracy, we can define democracy into two of the aspects. One could be the descriptive aspect, and other could be the normative aspect. In descriptive aspect, we explain democracy as a process and particularly as a political process where the citizens are given some kind of rights and the state has some obligations. However, as a normative aspect of democracy, democracy has been described as more a way of empowerment, more about choices, giving opportunities, and making a positive impact into the people's life. So, the Fernando Cardoso's idea of democracy is more of a normative idea of democracy. Guys, we can utilize this particular quote as well as these two dimensions into our GS paper number 2 as well as onto the topics of essay. So, guys, that's it. And now let's take the newspaper analysis. Now, guys, taking up the first article. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Business Standard newspaper, and here we can see that the government has decided to launch a new platform for the better monetization of the non core assets into the public sector undertakings. First of all, guys, before going into the news, let's see some of the basic background. See, right now, government has decided that the monetization of the non core assets will be made. What does this mean? See, there are large number of PSUs which are having huge tracts of land, machinery, and such kind of assets which are not directly assisting into their core operations and they are not also being utilized. Now government thinks that these non-core assets they need to be sold off, disposed of, so that that particular resource can be utilized into a better way. Moreover, as these resources will be sold, it will also be generating the revenue and government can utilize that particular revenue for some better capital expenditure or can use it to mitigate the shortfall which is seeing right now. Guys, government had asked the monetization of such non-core assets, but the PSUs have not been able to monetize these particular assets. Why? Because first of all, onto the land and all such kind of things, there are the litigations, disputes. Secondly, guys, the PSUs themselves are not having an expertise or the technical expertise to dispose these kind of assets. So therefore, every year government's disinvestment targets have not been fulfilled. Now, guys, government had decided that onto their own initiative they will be going to make a kind of an electronic portal which will be created by the MSTC, which stands for the Metal Scrap Trade Corporation. Now, guys, it is a government of India owned e-commerce company. Please don't go by literally the name. So this e-commerce company will be making an e-platform. Now this e-platform will be made in coordination with the DIPAM, that is the Department of Investment and Public Asset Management, which is under the Ministry of Finance. Guys, please keep in mind that recently DIPAM was again into the news because the DIPAM has signed the memorandum of understanding with the World Bank specifically so that World Bank can provide the expertise to the DIPAM for the monetization of the assets. So into the monetization of assets, Deepam plays the most important role. So this one-stop solution, this e-platform has been created. Now all the assets which are belonging to the PSUs and which are to be monetized, they will be listed onto this particular platform, and here the biddings can be made and the prospective buyers can buy these assets. Now, guys, the plan is to mobilize 10,000 crore rupees of revenue by listing the non-core assets here. Now here the e-bidding will be established. Guys, right now only the assets valued above 100 crore will be listed here, and the actual acquisition of these assets will be made seamless by government by involving all such kind of agencies here which will be providing the adequate clearances. Now, guys, this particular initiative can be utilized in GS paper number 2 as how government is bringing the e-governance into the selling of their assets, and secondly into the GS paper number 3 also the into the mobilization of resources. We can put that how government is using that technology in order to dispose such kind of assets which are not usable, and the money or the revenue which will be raised by them can be robbed into some other kind of more useful activity. So guys, that's all about this article. Now we will be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Mint newspaper and it is talking about the recent PIDF which has been launched by the Reserve Bank of India. Now, the PIDF it stands for the Payment Infrastructure Development Fund, which is a dedicated facility established by Reserve Bank of India to enhance the digital payment acceptance or the digital payment ecosystem in tier 3 to tier 6 cities. Guys, basically, if I give you some background, recently, even the Bill Gates had appreciated India for their UPI initiative, and the UPI has been one of the biggest success of India into the recent times. And such streamlined digital payment ecosystem has not been seen into the other countries which India had seen. But even still, into the some small cities and towns, the acceptance of the digital ecosystem has not been good. So therefore, the Reserve Bank had said that they are establishing a funding mechanism where the money will be pooled by the Reserve Bank of India as well as the different card providers. They will be pooling the money into this particular ratio, and this money will be utilized to subsidize the banks as well as the non-bank institutions to develop the payment infrastructure so that the small business merchants they can be brought into such digital ecosystem easily. And here the multiple payment acceptance devices infrastructural support will be provided. Guys, basically these devices could be the physical point of sale, mobile point of sale, general packet radio services, public switched telephone network, a quick response code, and all such kind of facilities or the helps as how to adopt to them will be provided. Further, this particular scheme will be operational from January 2021 and will be into the force for next 3 years and can further be extended to 2 more years. Further, guys, we can see here that the subsidies will be provided to the small merchants, and a subsidy of 30% to the 50% will be provided for the physical POS, and 50% to 75% of subsidy will be provided for the digital POS. However, guys, you are not actually needed to keep all these numbers too much into the mind. Just keep this thing that it will be a shared mechanism where the card providers, RBI, will be coming together. Moreover, guys, even the bank also need to provide the money into this direction. So for the new debit cards as well as the credit card which are being issued, 1 to 3 rupees will be given. So basically it is a shared initiative and will be promoting the government of India's payment system vision document 2021, which was unveiled by the RBI, and basically will be developing a kind of a digital ecosystem in India. So that's all about this particular article. Guys, very directly important for GS paper number 3 under the banking and economy. So that's it. Now we'll move to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and this article is a kind of a brief update with respect to the Central Vista project, which was going on into the news for so many days, and there was so much of haze onto this particular aspect. First of all, guys, what is this Central Vista project? Earlier, also, we have taken. So, it is a kind of a massive redevelopment plan that the government is going to take into the Luton's zone, and it contains many of the sub projects. Number one, there will be the new Parliament House that will be developed, a new triangular building near the old Parliament building. After that, this old Parliament it will be converted into a museum of Indian democracy. After that, into the Central Vista project, there is a plan to create a new central secretariat which will be containing the premises for the agencies which are involved into the legislative research and the offices for such developmental agencies. Then, guys, there will also be a compound for the MPs offices, because right now the MPs they are not having their official premises into near the present parliament. Then there will be the prime minister's resident, prime minister's office, fine, and all such these things will be developed as a part of a Central Vista plan. And the most important highlight is the new parliament building which was supposed to be created. Now, guys, this new parliament house was supposed to have the seating capacity of 900 to 1200 MPs. There will be a separate provision for holding the joint sittings, and all the state of the art amenities will be there, which can bring the ease into the parliamentary proceedings. Now, guys, originally this plan was unveiled in 2019 by the government, but since then there have been many a protest against the Central Vista, and the protests are basically on some of the few reason. Reason number one, it was said that the economically it is not prudent at this point of time to take such a massive developmental activity. Secondly, it was said that the land use will be changed, and under that particular thing huge land will be diverted and it will be taking up the recreational places which are around the India Gate particularly, and therefore the people's ease of living around this particular region will be getting impacted. Thirdly, it was said that there are the environmental concerns because A, there will be the trees which will be uprooted or relocated. B, there will be the demolition waste which will be created, and such demolition waste, demolition dust will further be increasing the particulate matter 2.5 as well as 1.0 into the vicinity, and other such environmental problems will also be there. Fourthly, guys, it was said that it is nothing but a kind of a attempt to leave the imprint by the present ruling party, and therefore it was called as a wasteful exercise. And finally, guys, it was said that government is ignoring the historical legacy of the entire region. The parliament building is not just a kind of an infrastructural piece, rather it is containing a distinct history of its own, and therefore it should not be tampered with. And into this particular direction, many appeals were filed into the Delhi High Court, and after that, the matter went to the Supreme Court. And Supreme Court in 2020 started listening the appeals in this Central Vista project. Now, guys, the Supreme Court meanwhile allowed that the stone laying ceremony can be conducted, but the construction cannot begin until and unless the Supreme Court will be giving the final verdict. And now, finally, the Supreme Court has cleared the center government's plan to the Central Vista. And here, the Supreme Court had said that they are not a kind of an authority which can tell the government where to carry the expenditure and where not to carry the expenditure. So, if the central government believes that the public utility will be served by this Central Vista project, they can go ahead. So, it is a kind of a green flag which has been given. So, guys, that is all into this particular matter. However, you don't need to go too much into the details, and this is more than enough. So, that's it. Now, we'll be moving to the next article. Now, this article has been taken from the Business Standard newspaper, and it is talking about some of the urgent interventions that are needed onto the cryptocurrency front. Now, guys, when we're talking about the cryptocurrencies, already I have taken this particular thing earlier that these are the virtual currencies which are not having any physical backup. Moreover, even there is no central bank which is issuing this particular currency. Rather, at the back end, there is an algorithmic code which the people solve, and after their solving, the cryptocurrencies are minted. And if you don't know how to solve this algorithmic code, simply you can buy these cryptocurrencies onto the peer traded platforms. Now, into this 2020 years, guys, the Bitcoin specifically, which is an example of a cryptocurrency, has seen an improvement into its value up to the tune of 300%. And Ethereum, which is another cryptocurrencies, its values has been increased by 650%. And onto this particular year, guys, the Supreme Court has also revoked the ban which was imposed onto the cryptocurrencies. And in India, you can trade cryptocurrency as of today according to the direction given by the Supreme Court into the March 2020. But still, the future of cryptocurrency has not been clear into India, because, guys, there have been the reports that government is planning to bring a legislative action under which these currencies can be banned. And secondly, what will be the tax treatment of the income that the people are making from the cryptocurrencies? That thing is also not very much clear. So, into this direction, it has been said that government needs to come out with a policy as soon as possible, because every day there are so much of transactions which are happening into the cryptocurrency, particularly into India. And, guys, specifically the CCI 30 index, which captures the 30 fast moving cryptocurrencies, is becoming more mainstreamed now. And here, if we can see into the article directly, guys, the countries such as USA, via their US Financial Crime Enforcement Network, has issued a draft of proposed regulation over the cryptocurrencies. Moreover, the countries such as Japan, Australia, South Korea, Estonia, Finland, they are also coming out with the legislations onto the cryptocurrency. And China, in fact, has decided that they will be issuing their own fiat cryptocurrency. It means that the government will be sanctioning this cryptocurrency. And even the S&P has decided that they will be bringing a cryptocurrency index into which more than 550 different cryptocurrencies will be tracked. Now, guys, basically it this thing is showing that the cryptocurrency have become a very big investment portfolio, and people are investing the money here. Basically the speculative investing or any kind of investing you can call, but the investing is happening. So therefore it is a time that such a big phenomena is to be recognized rather than to be ignored. Moreover, guys, one peculiar trend has been seen into the cryptocurrencies, that now people are sending the remittances across the different countries into their home countries via these cryptocurrencies, and even the NRIs are sending their money into the form of cryptocurrency in India. Now, when we specifically talk about India, guys, in 2019, the remittances worth $80 billion were received in India. And now, guys, even the Facebook is planning to launch their own cryptocurrency, that is Dime. And once it is launched, even the remittances which is today is coming via the banking channels will be coming via these new cryptocurrencies such as Dime. So therefore it has been said that the India should not ignore the cryptocurrencies, and not taking the action should also not take the action such as the banning of cryptocurrencies, which earlier was done in 2018 and eventually was revoked in 2020 by the Supreme Court. We should accept the cryptocurrency trades and should establish our own indigenous mechanisms, guys. You remember we discussed just now the UPI. So as into the UPI, we have brought a disruption in cryptocurrency. India can also offer such kind of services and can establish a stellar example. So guys, that's all about this particular article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Mint newspaper, and here we can see the cost of internet shutdowns into the India. So, you might be knowing that after particularly the Jammu and Kashmir's status was changed, the internet services into the Jammu Kashmir has been suspended for a substantial long duration. And, guys, on many of the instances, there were the localized internet shutdowns also by the government. And it has been said that in 2020, approximately 8,927 hours worth internet bandwidth was curbed, and it has led to immense losses into India. Guys, approximately $2.8 billion losses have been accrued to the India, majorly to the small businesses, small households, or to the people. And guys, it has been said that into the entire world in 2020, approximately $4 billion worth of losses were suffered due to the internet shutdown, and the 75% of such losses had happened only into the India because of the India's policy onto the internet shutdown. Now, the name of this particular report into which this data has been given, it has been called as the Global Cost of Internet Shutdown Report, which is released by Top 10 VPN. Now, here the data has been taken from the World Bank, International Telecommunication Union, as well as from the Freedom Law Center. Now, guys, after India, the more internet shutdowns happened into the Belarus, which was second country, but there also the losses has been just 336 million, and compared to India, it is very much less. Further, guys, the countries such as Myanmar imposed the blackouts and they curbed the internet bandwidth just because just to control the protests that are going into the Rakhine region, particularly because of that Rohingya issue. So such kind of losses that are coming, they impact the common people. Moreover, guys, it not gives a kind of a good sentiments. India has always boasted of being a free democracy, a participative democracy, and into the idea of such free and participative democracy, the internet shutdowns, which are today have been recognized as the principal mode of freedom of speech and expression. And guys, if you remember earlier, we have taken that the Supreme Court, particularly into the Anuradha Bhasin judgment, has specifically recognized the right of internet. So into that direction, such internet shutdowns doesn't portrays a very good image of India. We can utilize this particular reference into our GS paper number 2 as well as GS paper number 3 related answers. So that's it, and now we will be moving to the next. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and here we can see that the Prime Minister has inaugurated the Kochi Mangaluru LNG, that is the liquefied natural gas pipeline. Now, here we can see some brief details about it. It is a nearly 450-kilometer length pipeline network which will be starting from the Mangaluru and it will be culminated into the Kochi. Guys, in between from the Kuttanad, there is a kind of a diversion, and this diversion will be going to the Bengaluru also, and it will be making the South India a kind of a gas sufficient economy. Guys, in meanwhile, these are the places from where this pipeline will be passing. Now it has been said that this particular project has also created over 12 lakh man days of employment during the construction. And this is an example that we can see that by the capital expenditure of the government, the trickle down effects into many of the dimensions can come. Number one, this particular project in itself will be making the South India Gulf's gas self sufficient, as well as this employment which has been generated, it will provide the money to the people, and by that particular money the aggregate demand will be increased, and by aggregate demand the consumption expenditure will be made, which will be helping the economy to revive back. Now guys, when we are talking about this importance of this gas pipeline, see, it will help India in becoming the gas based economy. Guys, today the share of natural gas in India's energy mix is just 6%, and we want to increase it up till 15% by 2030. And into that particular direction, such infrastructural initiatives will be helping. Moreover, guys, India had also decided that more than 10,000 CNG connections will be established. Moreover, lakhs of PNG connections, that is the piped natural gas household connections, will also be given to the people, by which the two benefits will be coming. Number one, people's ease of living will be improved. Number two, the people will be adopting the cleaner gases or the cleaner energy for their household consumption. Guys, every year in India, more than 5 lakh women die because of the internal pollution that is caused by the unclean fuel. So, onto that particular thing, it will be saving so much of human lives. Further, guys, there are some other steps also which have been taken to make India more energy diverse. For example, government had decided to increase the content of the ethanol into the petrol to 20%. Earlier, the 5% of ethanol was to be blended with the petrol. After that, guys, India is also coming with the world's largest hybrid energy plant, that is the mix of the wind and solar energy. It is being established into the Gujarat. Then, guys, thirdly, India is also working onto the electric mobility sector. And in this particular respect, guys, we can give the example of the FAME scheme that the government is operating. Then, guys, we can see that the Prime Minister had provided some of the statistics also with respect to the development that had done into the alternative energy. It has been said that 15,000 kilometer of LNG pipeline was laid between 1978 and 2014, and now the work on 16,000 kilometers started in 2014, which will be completed in next 4 years. After that, it has been provided that approximately 900 CNG stations were laid between 1992 to 2014, and now 1500 new stations were being built after that. And finally, it will be increased to 10,000, as we have or earlier also seen. And further on to the similar lines, the PNG connections are also being enhanced. And finally, guys, this development can also be called as an example of the cooperative federalism, where the different state governments, that is the state government of the Karnataka, it had collaborated successfully with the state of the Kerala. And thus, it could be a template behavior that should be guided throughout the country, and we can give it as a reference also. So, guys, this is all about the importance aspects of this infrastructural development. Guys, you can utilize it into the GS paper number 3 under the topic of the infrastructure, as well as it can also be provided as a solution to control the pollution, because into the pollution we always suggest that we need to develop the alternative renewable energy sources. So that's all about this article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, this article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and here we can see that the Asian waterbird census has started. Now, guys, first of all, it has just started, and its final report will be coming laterwards, where we will see that whether an improvement has been there or is a decline. So, later this thing will be coming. Now, guys, talking about the Asian waterbird census, so it is the 2020 edition, and the waterbird census is coordinated by the Wetland International into the Asia. And guys, the report of such bird census is given to the IUCN as well as Ramsar Convention. Now, guys, in India, the Asian waterbird census is being coordinated by the BNHS, that is the Bombay Natural History Society, which is working into the field of the environmental conservation, as well as it promotes the awareness into the people with respect to the conservation of the natural resources, as well as carries the research for the endangered species. And guys, as a part of this particular census, at least 2 dozen sites will be covered, including the Koringa Wildlife Sanctuary, Koleru Lake, Krishna Sanctuary, etc. So, guys, just wait, and then when the final report will be coming, we will be seeing it again. So, guys, that's all about this particular article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper and it is important for our GS paper number 3 under the initiatives taken by the government to revive the economy or the economic initiatives. Now, government had actually launched a hackathon for the toys, or it can also be called as the Toycathon. And the purpose of such a Toycathon is to promote India as a toy manufacturing hub to the world. Now, guys, when we talk about the potential of the toy industry in India, then in India alone, there is a market of approximately $1 billion for the toys, and still 80% of the toys are imported. Guys, in India, there is simply no innovation with respect to the toy, and it has been provided adequately by the Prime Minister into his Man Ki Baat, which he delivered on to the 30th of the August, that India needs to focus on to the toy being a toy hub. Now, here it has been provided that the Indian toy developers should focus onto the Indian folklores, Indian culture, Indian stories, Indian heroes, Indian value system, and onto that particular basis, the toys are needed to be developed. Moreover, guys, into the toy kathan, there are 9 themes for which have been identified onto which the toys are to be developed, and it includes the fitness, sports, rediscovering traditional Indian toys, and all such things. Now, guys, making India a toy destination is a kind of an innovative suggestion, and into this particular direction already on 31st of August at 6:30 for this particular timestamp, we have covered this entire article into the great detail in our newspaper analysis. Guys, I will highly suggest that you go please and spare 3-4 minutes and see this particular aspect. So, guys, that's all for the today's newspaper analysis. I hope that you are liking the initiative and you are finding that some enhancement into your knowledge is being made by this particular initiative. Guys, if you like our video, then please do like and please do comment onto our videos, as it gives us a much more motivation to work even more harder. Guys, thank you so much.